Most people think they have a discipline problem. I don't. I think they have a promise problem. Think about the last promise you made to yourself. I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm finally going to start the business. How long did you keep it? 3 days, a week, a month at best. Then life happened and the promise quietly disappeared. Now, here's what most people never realize. Every broken promise doesn't just cost you progress, it costs you trust. Because every time you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't, your brain collects another piece of evidence. Evidence that your word doesn't matter much. And after enough broken promises, you start believing yourself. Not because you're lazy or incapable, but because you spent years proving to yourself that you don't follow through. And I think that's why so many people struggle with consistency. They're trying to build discipline when what they've really lost is self-trust. And a few years ago, I accidentally found a way to rebuild mine, not through motivation, not through some productivity hack, but by making and keeping one simple promise every day. A few years ago, I gave myself a challenge. I was going to post one piece of content every single day for 30 days. Now, the goal wasn't to become an influencer. It wasn't to go viral. I honestly didn't care about followers or likes. The goal was much simpler. I wanted to become comfortable creating, comfortable talking to a camera, and comfortable hitting the publish button. Because I'd learned something years earlier. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from repeatedly showing up. So every day I'd create the content, I'd post it, and I'd put an X on my calendar. The next day I'd do it again. Around day 12, something changed in my focus. I stopped caring how the content performed. I wasn't thinking about views anymore. I wasn't thinking about likes. My only goal was to make sure I earned an X on that day. Then day 30 came and I had a decision to make. Stop or keep going. So I kept going. 40 days, 60, 90, 100. Eventually that 30-day challenge became more than 150 consecutive days. And looking back, I realized that the streak had never really been about content. It had been teaching me something a lot more important, which was that every X represented something bigger than a post. It represented a promise I'd kept. And that rewired my brain and the way I think about discipline. Imagine this is my calendar. If I asked you, what do you see? Most people would say a streak. I don't. I see a chain of evidence. Every one of those X's is proof that I did what I said I was going to do. That's what changed everything. Every X became another deposit into what I call my self-trust account. And unexpectedly over time, I stopped hoping I would follow through and started expecting myself to. Not because I became more motivated, but rather I had too much evidence to believe anything else. That's why I don't tell people don't break the chain. I tell them protect what the chain proves, because the chain isn't the goal. The person you're becoming is. So if you want to build self-trust, here are the 3 principles that helped me do it. The first principle is simple. Make a promise you can't hide from. Most people don't make promises, they make intentions. I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be more consistent. Those aren't promises. They're too vague. There's no clear finish line, no scoreboard, no way to know if you actually follow through. A real promise sounds different. I'm going to work out today. I'm going to post one piece of content today. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Now, there's no gray area. Either you did it or you didn't. That's exactly what my challenge looked like. The promise wasn't become a better content creator. The promise was post one piece of content today. That's it. One promise, one opportunity to keep my word, because the easier your promise is to measure, the harder it is to lie to yourself. And that's the real enemy. It's not failure. It's self-deception. If you constantly move the goalposts, you never actually know whether you kept your word. So make your promise so clear that at the end of the day, there's only one question left to answer. Did you keep your word? Yes or no? And that's how self-trust is built. One measurable promise kept consistently. The second principle is another simple one. Protect today's X. Most people fail because they're focused on the wrong scoreboard. They're thinking about losing 20 pounds, growing the business, or reaching some big goal months from now. I wasn't thinking about any of that. Every day, I asked myself one question: did I earn today's X? Not, was today's video amazing, or did people like it? Just, did I keep my promise today? Because that's the one thing I could control. The moment I stopped obsessing over the results and started focusing on today's promise, showing up became much easier. Tomorrow didn't matter. Day 30 didn't matter. Today's X mattered. And here's the interesting thing. When you earn enough X's, the outcomes eventually catch up, not because you chase them, but because your daily actions made them inevitable. So I stopped asking myself, how long was this going to take? And started asking, did I earn today's X? Because that's the only question that actually moves your life forward. The third principle is the one that keeps everything alive. Because eventually you're going to miss a day. Life happens. You'll get sick. You'll travel. Something unexpected will get in the way. Missing once isn't the problem. Missing twice is. Because one missed day is an event. 2 missed days becomes a pattern, and patterns become identity. That's why I live by one simple rule: never miss twice. If I break my promise today, tomorrow becomes non-negotiable. Not because I'm trying to protect a streak, but because I'm protecting the kind of person I'm becoming. And here's how I kind of compartmentalize it. Our identity is built by our best day. It's what we repeatedly do. So don't let one mistake convince you that you failed. Own it, learn from it, then get right back to keeping your word. Because self-trust isn't built by being perfect. It's built by returning quickly. And the faster you get back to it, the stronger your identity becomes. And looking into the rearview mirror, the biggest thing that changed wasn't my content. It wasn't my editing. It wasn't my business. It was me. After more than 150 days of keeping one simple promise, there was a significant shift. I stopped wondering whether I'd follow through, and I simply expected myself to do so. That alone made a big difference, because once you trust yourself, you stop wasting energy negotiating with yourself. You stop relying on motivation. You stop waiting until you feel ready. You just do what you said you were going to do. And here's the interesting part. That lesson had nothing to do with content, but it followed me everywhere, into my workouts, into my business, into my marriage, into the promises I made to my daughters. Because when you become someone who follows through in one area of your life, it becomes much easier to follow through in all of the others. That's what I gained, not a 150-day streak, a new standard for myself. So let me ask you one question. If someone looked at the last 30 days of your life, what story would they tell? Would they see someone who keeps making promises, or someone who keeps keeping them? Because your future isn't built by big moments. It's built by small promises repeated over and over again. So don't worry about changing your life this week. Don't even worry about changing it this month. Just make one promise, keep it. Tomorrow, make another, because every extraordinary life is built the same way. One ordinary promise kept consistently. And if this video challenged you, don't just click on another one. Before you leave, decide on one promise you're going to keep today. Write it down, then go earn today's X. I'll be here tomorrow. But if you've already written it down and in the past found yourself saying, I'll start tomorrow, I'll do it later, I just don't feel like it today, then the real problem isn't your goals. It's the conversation you're having with yourself. And that's exactly what I break down in this video right here. I'll show you how to stop negotiating with yourself, so keeping your promises becomes a whole lot easier. Thanks for watching. Hit the button to subscribe to Something Real, and I'll see you in the next one. Persist until success happens. Push.